What's up, guys? I'm back here again with another video. This time I'm going to show you guys how to do some wiring for light bars that I have mounted to my Xterra. When I went to do my install on these guys, I found very few tutorials on actually how to do it. So I figured I'd go ahead and create a walkthrough for mounting one on top of the windshield and also one for the bumper, and go through like the wiring, routing, and different things like that. So if you go on to like the video, go ahead and give a like rating down below. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you never miss any other content that I upload. I know it's been a while. We've had like tons amount of rain here the past couple weeks, so I haven't had time to actually make this video. But yeah, so let's get into it, and I'll show you kind of how I got it all set up. Cool, so you'll notice I have a light bar down here, and then I also have a light bar up top. Both of these guys are fully functional, and the install was actually not that hard at all. So the one on the bottom I got from Tractor Supply. I believe it's their brand. I think it's called like Traveler or something like that. And then the one on top I got from Off-Road Gorilla. There is a Torton light bar, I believe. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It is a 40-inch light bar, and then the one on the bottom is like a 13.5, something like that. So yeah, let's get into it. We'll talk about the small one first, and then we'll work up to the big one. So when I bought the little light bar, I bought it at a Tractor Supply, like I mentioned earlier. I bought the light bar, and then I also bought the wiring harness that goes with that specific light bar. And that light bar, or the wiring harness, includes a mounting point to the battery. It also includes a switch and a relay, and I think that's it. So what I did, let me just pop the hood real quick. So if you look in here, this is the two switches that I have installed. This one's for the one on the bumper, and this one's for the one up top. And what I did, I just drilled a couple holes here into the, I guess this kind of plasticky stuff, and then I pushed the button through it, and so that way they work there. So pop the hood. Let's take a look at how the routing looks. Stand by. All right. Cool. So here's our battery on the Xterra. So since I have two light bars, I have two wires coming off of the battery. I got the positive, and so I hooked up the two wires on the opposite sides of the battery so they don't interfere with each other. The negatives here as well. And then so here's the so this one here is for the smaller one. There's the fuse and the relays. I just kind of tucked all the wires into this kind of hole here. That way it kind of stays away from anything that gets hot, so the wires don't melt. And then I routed everything up along that tubing there with some zip ties. And then, so the entrance point from the firewall is this kind of black circle thing down there. Just kind of pop it out, and it leads to right underneath the dash there. And then after I routed the wires, I just pushed it back. So it's not a full seal there, but it's good enough. Let's look at from the inside now. Just coming around here. So up underneath here, you'll see this is where the wires come through right here. And then so the little one, I just have the switch that goes up into here where I showed you. And then the bigger one kind of routes through here. And then I have it routed all the way up through here, and then it comes out the roof up here. So that's the little one. Pretty simple install. The wiring is perfectly, having plenty of length with it. And then so let's talk about how I actually mounted the light bar to my bumper. So I watched a couple videos, a lot of videos that I found on YouTube and such, and like forums online. I noticed that a lot of those videos apply to this type of install here. So what I did is first I popped this guy off the grill, some rivets here, and then it just kind of pulls out, and then you have to basically you have to take the whole front end off, take the bumper off, which is fairly easy. You come up underneath here, you can take off, unscrew the fender here, and then there's a bolt kind of right up through here for right up through here where the bumper attaches to the metal on both sides, and then you can just kind of slide it off. And then if you have fog lights like I do, you can unhook those, and then the bumper comes all the way off. One video I found on YouTube, they actually took the skid plate off. I didn't do that. I just kind of drilled right through the whole thing, which I thought was a little bit easier, and then the screws slide right in, and then I tightened it down. So yeah, so I took the whole bumper off, and then I drilled holes into the bumper here. If I made sure that the light bar fits in there properly and it's not back too far, it's not out too far, what have you. And then there's a nut or a bolt here, and then there's nuts underneath it, and then you just tighten them down. And then the wiring, if you look down here, there's the connector for the light bar, and the wiring just kind of comes out right here. Here to connect to the relay and to the battery, and then up to there to the switch. So that one's fairly simple. That's the first light bar. The second light bar, like I said, I got from Off-Road Gorilla. Now the mounts that I have for it is a little bit more complicated than what I did for the first one. These mounts here, also from Off-Road Gorilla, they just kind of, you unscrew these bolts here, and here, with your stock bolts, and they give you new bolts here, and this mount will fit right in on those excuse me, words are hard. The mount will fit perfectly, okay? So I did that on both sides. Now, the company, I asked them what light bar they recommend. They say on their website that curved bars don't work properly. I would like to say that they're wrong. This light bar is obviously curved and it fits perfectly. Now you notice here, let's focus a little bit, it does not, so they are right in saying that it doesn't work perfectly, but if you bolt it down tight enough, it will stay. And if you look here, like, moving it, it's rock solid there. So that's how I mounted it up top. Now I have a Pro 4X, obviously, so I had those circle lights here. Now we're there on the ground. Mounted it, so I took those off, obviously. So this right here is like the stock wiring port for the initial lights that are already there. And what I did here is I unscrewed these 3 bolts here, and I kind of fished the new wiring through the hole that's already there, and it comes down right here basically. And then all I had to do to get that access to here is you can take this off. You can do this, and then this one kind of twists like that, and then you can pull it right out really easy, and then it goes back in just how you took it out. And this one on this side, you take a screw to pop this guy off, screwdriver, and then underneath there's a bolt. You know, screw that, and then this whole thing will come out real easy. And then you also have to take this guy off for the wiring. Pop these guys off here, and then there's a screw underneath there. You can unscrew that, and this handle will come off. And then so wiring is going all the way through this beam and down here, like I showed you earlier. This guy will just kind of pop off like that, just like that. Clips back in, and then I took the weathering harness, or the weather stripping, just pull it off, and then you can tuck the wiring. I'll show you. You can tuck the wiring up underneath here. As you can see it there, that black wire there. Just be careful, because there is an airbag. At least for my car anyway, there's an airbag right here, so you just kind of have to make sure that it's not blocking that in case you ever need that airbag. And then the weather stripping just kind of pushes back into place, make sure that's fully engaged, so that way you don't have any leaking when it rains a lot. yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then for the switches, there's a screw down here on the, I guess this is kind of like the dash a little bit. Screw there, and then this will pop all the way off. Like I said earlier, I drilled holes here for both of the switches, and then you unhook the wiring from the backhand side. It basically just slides right off. Little connectors there, and then you can push the buttons through this side, and then hook the wiring back up, and then just make sure that you don't have too much slack, or your foot might get caught on the wiring as it kind of hangs down. So I just took a couple zip ties. Hold on, my shoes are coming untied here. Show you. So I took a couple zip ties right here, just to kind of take away the slack so my foot doesn't get caught on it when I give a brake. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, both switches will work, are fully functional, and they work perfectly. They do also work without the car being on, so just be careful to not accidentally hit them, because they will drain your battery. Now for both of these light bars, they work perfectly like I said earlier, but they also, when I have my car on and I have them on and engaged, I noticed that like there's not really any effect on like the voltage of my battery. So for my car, voltage meter usually is about halfway, pretty much anytime I'm driving, and then even when I switch them on, I don't even see like it deviate from that at all, so I don't really have any problems powering it. Yeah, so it works pretty flawlessly. So most Pro 4X's, they do have the off-road lamps here. This is for the stock lights, and it has its own wiring and whatnot. I found when I was doing it, I wanted to try and keep the stock button and have everything run through that. I found that it's not that easy, and I'm by no means an expert in wiring and electricity and different things like that. So I ended up just using the wiring harness that was compatible with the light bar itself. The light bar, the torch light bar, it has just a positive and a negative wire, and then the connector, just like the little one has, its connector is actually like right here, because I just pulled it down here. Excuse me. Where was I going? Oh yes, the stock wiring has like 6 wires because there's 2 lights. I'll kind of show you on the old one here. Flip this over. Yeah, so this is the stock wiring. It has like 6 wires, and it's a lot more complicated than actually just using its own wiring harness like I ended up going with. And also, I was reading online that this is not enough, like these wires don't hold enough watts or voltage or whatever. You correct me in the comments, but it's not compatible with the voltage that is necessary for that big light bar up top. So that's why it ended up going with its own wiring harness. Jeez, stupid places. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. The install on both of them was very easy once I figured out how I wanted to do it. I hope that this video kind of helps you guys if you guys are looking to do it as well. Like I said, both are fully functional. Don't really have any extra drain on the battery. You know, everything works fine. Wiring, haven't had any problems with the wiring or any wires melting at all or anything like that. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, you can always drop them in the comments or DM me on Instagram or whatever, and I can try and help you with that if you need it. But yeah, so that is the kind of a walkthrough on how to install the light bars. If I remember, I'll kind of show you what it looks like at nighttime, if I don't forget. But yeah, they're a lot brighter than stock lights. Definitely would have to say that. And they are fantastic. I love using them at night. Fantastic products. Would not have any really negative comments to say about anything like that.
2 hours later.
Alright everybody, I did remember to come back later tonight and give you an idea of how bright these light bars are. Right now, I'm sitting at the parking lot at my gym, and I just have my standard headlights on. Let me go ahead and flick the high beams on so you can see what those look like. Those are the high beams, okay? Like I said earlier, the lights will work with the car off, so they're not tied to, you know, you have to have the high beams on to have them on like the stock off-road lamps are. Cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the small light bar looks like, the one that's mounted on the bumper. And 3, 2, 1. There's that. So where I'm sitting at, there is a little bit of a drop down. That's why it kind of looks kind of funky like that. You see that kind of shadow in the middle. That's why you see that there. And let's go ahead and do the top one. And 3, 2, 1. And there you see it. So that is that 40-inch light bar up top, give most of that light. And let's look at the one. Let's look at just the top one on. So you can see there's a slight little bit brightness coming from that bottom one. I'm flicking it on and off right now. So that's what that looks like with just the top one, and then both of them on both top and bottom there. So if you look down here at the buttons, this one right here that's for the top one, and the one for the bottom one doesn't light up for whatever reason. I don't know why. The only thing that I would change about where I place the buttons is so my keys are kind of hanging down right here, and it kind of gets in the way of the buttons, so you just kind of have to kind of fish around for them, like so here. But other than that, like, I love the placement here. I think it's a lot easier than having it on the opposite side where the stock light switch is. And that's mainly because I drive mostly with my left hand, so if I want to drive them on, put them on while I'm driving, I have to kind of switch hands and then flick it on. So this way I can drive and then flip the lights on and off as I go. So that's just kind of a personal preference about where I put those switches. Yeah. So as I'm going home now, let's go ahead and talk about the noise that it makes. So I know a lot of times people say like, oh, if you have a curved light bar, it's gonna whistle, blah blah blah. And they are right. This light bar does whistle. However, I don't mind it. I think, like, you know, like, it whistles. Like, let's see if you can hear it once you get on the road here. I don't think it's that bad. Let's see if you can hear it. So it is really windy out tonight. So I don't know if you can hear it. Probably a little bit. And then also, because I took off those stock kind of frog light looking things, and then there's that like lift gate thing that kind of sits behind them, and there's kind of that gap there, so that kind of makes a little bit of noise now as well. However, that's an easy fix. You just get one of the standard Xterra fenders that goes up there. I was reading some forums and they say that they go for about $250-ish, give or take a little bit. To me, I don't know if it's worth it to do that. I don't really mind the noise because I usually have the radio up pretty loud. So yeah, like just here, you and me talking here, I can hear it. I'm only going 35 and it's still whistling. But once you get up to about 50, 60 miles an hour, it doesn't whistle that much anymore. I don't know how to explain that, but that's just what I've noticed. But yeah, so I really personally really like them. Let me see if I can put them on again for you while I'm driving here. Once they're on this turn. Bottom, and then top. So you can see, like, super bright. This will look from the outside. Extremely bright will definitely make somebody go blind.